What's up, guys? Welcome to Good Bad Wrestling No Holds Barred. This is the show where we have a good time watching bad wrestling. And today we have got a special guest with us. Say hello to Savannah.
What's that?
We needed an expert witness for this episode.
Wait, by we, who are you?
Who am I? I'm John.
I'm Jack Brinks.
I thought you were saying, like, who the fuck are you?
Think you're cool or something?
You guys can find the show on Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever they got podcasts. They got Good Bad Wrestling, and we are also on YouTube. Good Bad Wrestling, No Holds Barred. So if you want to take a look, then you can do it there. If you want to have a listen, you can do it where they got podcasts. So like I was saying, we needed an expert witness today because we're going to cover easily the worst cage match in history. The Kennel From Hell match from Unforgiven 1999 between Big Bossman and Al Snow. Jack, why don't you fill Savannah in on what brought us to this point, which was actually a topic of a previous episode.
So this is officially our first sequel episode.
Yes.
I believe.
Yes.
Woo.
And we covered an episode prior of the biggest a-hole in wrestling being the Big Boss Man. And one of the things we discussed was an angle with Boss Man and Al Snow, where Al Snow brought his little Chihuahua Pepper out to the ring.
Oh, okay.
And Boss Man kidnapped Pepper.
Oh, okay. That's who Pepper is. I was like, their whole like pre-match promotion was like Pepper this and Pepper that. I'm like, who is Pepper?
Well, Pepper was on his shirt. Pepper likes head.
Well, it didn't say Pepper. It just said I like head. So I'm like,
Pepper is the Chihuahua who likes head.
And so Al Snow goes to the hotel room to meet Boss Man to get Pepper back, and Boss Man goes, I'll give you Pepper back. I give you my word. I got some food for you. Just eat your food. And Al Snow goes, I don't want to eat your damn food. Finally, back and forth, he goes, fine. If eating this food will make you happy, I'll eat the damn food. So he sits down, he takes a bite, and Boss Man says, that's some USDA grade A pepper.
Yeah, so kidnapped his Chihuahua, cooked it, and fed it to him is the basis of this feud. Before we get into the Kennel From Hell, we need to explain why, Savannah, you are an expert and who can help us with this matter. So you work with animals.
oh, this is how you decided. This
is why you're an expert.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
So the way that this starts is on Unforgiven is they do an interview with Boss Man where he's talking about, like, so they're going to take a cage and they're going to surround it with a cage and they're going to fill it with dogs, and he says that this is a match that people will never forget.
There's so many things that I was just so confused about, but first and foremost, the pre-match,
Yeah.
the only thing that I can keep in my head was like they have to have some sort of like side job dominatrix business. One Boss Man was threatening to shove a very
It's a nightstick.
an endowed stick up the poor interviewer's
Ass.
ass.
We cuss on this show.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure.
Yeah.
And then, Al, good old Al, his little spiel, the only thing I could think of was, I'm going to kick your donut eating ass.
It's like
Well, it's because he's a cop.
Well, and the only thing I could think of was like, oh my gosh, John and Sean must have had that on repeat when they were trying to lose weight. 'Cause like that was like
we didn't bring you on here
To roast us.
to insult us.
I love you. You said no comments at first, so I have to let it all out now.
Hey, if I wanted to be insulted, I'd go talk to my wife. Oh,
Wait a minute. I'm just a girlfriend, guys.
So yeah, you haven't met the wife yet. So Al Snow's saying he's gonna kick Boss Man's fat ass. He calls him a fat ass 5 times in this promo. And then he goes out to the ring and they're still putting this cage together. They haven't even finished building the fucking thing.
Yeah, they were like improving the entire thing. Like, oh, we can just do this, and then okay, that'll work, and then okay, you know, I'm gonna pick up this shovel that's an actual fucking shovel, and then I realize how heavy it is, and then I go, oops, I might actually kill this man.
He goes,
Jesus.
He goes out there, and then Bossman comes out, and he's got a look on his face that said to me, why am I involved in this piece of shit? Like he already looked like embarrassed, and nothing had even happened yet.
Yeah.
So they finally, he goes in. So it is the old school blue cage, and it's surrounded by the cell. Bossman goes through the cell, and he's in between cages, and then Jim Ross and King are going, where are the dogs? And like King's going, where's the dogs? And JR's going, I don't know. Wasn't my turn to watch the dogs. There's no dogs. It's a Kennel from Hell match with no dogs.
What kind of dogs are they supposed to be again? Rottweilers, Dobermans, Chihuahuas? I don't even know.
and then this is a blood feud. This man murdered your dog, fed it to you, right? You hate him, so you conceived of this match from hell where the idea is to escape.
Peed on Pepper's grave.
And then peed on Pepper's grave. And then how do they start the match? Al Snow won't let him in. This man that he wants to maim.
Yes.
This man who he wants to murder, he won't let him into the match.
I want to kill you, but I don't want to fight you.
He's like the anti-John Wick.
Yeah. So they spend a good 5 minutes dogless, and he won't let Bossman into the match. Then the dogs finally show up.
Yeah, meanwhile, they're promoting these vicious dogs. They're going to attempt to tear these two men apart while they try and tear each other apart.
And the dogs are lovely. These are
Come play like typical Roddies, like, oh my god, come play with me. And it's not even like they're independently like professionally trained dogs. They're being led by handlers.
They're on leash.
Yes, they can't be vicious and ferocious if they're being led by somebody.
They each have their own handler, and they're on a leash. They can't get away from that person, and they seem to be just good boys. They're just a bunch of good boys. Like, they're barking at each other, but that's how dogs talk.
Well, at one point when Al Snow's on the outside of the cage, the dogs are barking at each other.
And they don't
they don't even know that he's there.
They don't register him whatsoever.
They're more dog aggressive than they are human aggressive.
and then like, so you're having a terrible hardcore match in a shitty cage that's like a terrible concept. So the dogs are not interested. They're not even part of it. At one point, Al Snow grabs Bossman's hand, and he sticks it through the cage for the dog to bite at. The dog doesn't even look up. So Al Snow just goes, "Hey, stupid!" And the dog doesn't look, so that doesn't work. So then they try to lean on the hardcore elements, and Bossman grabs that shovel, Savannah, that you're talking about.
Oh my god,
and so he lays in the most pitter patter soft
sissy lala
shot with a shovel ever, and right as he's doing that, King is saying, I used to have a Doberman who could play baseball. It was a pitcher. And then JR goes, I don't know what was worse, that shovel shot or your joke.
I didn't catch that part. Well, it was like he took the shovel and he was like, it's like he instantly realized like, oh shit, this is like heavy. And then he did like a tester like oh shit, is this gonna kill him? Whoa. Did it twice, and then finally came around, he was on the ground and smacked the shit out of him. You guys, this guy is gonna end up with a lump on his head because he fucking smacked him.
He gives him two little candy ass sissy lala shots, and then he realizes, oh, I'm the big boss man and this is for the hardcore title. So he tries to fucking kill him with it. Yeah. While he's on the ground. Oh man. And then so Boss Man's angle in this match is that he's gonna get some like wire cutters
and cut the top of the cage to create a spot to climb out of. So he cuts this little triangle
in order to get around these vicious dogs
that aren't even, so it's cage, space, and then the biggest cage. They're in the center in the ring. There's the cage, and then the dogs are in between the two cages. They can't even get to them. These vicious dogs, vicious trained dogs, don't even have the accessibility to the humans to be vicious trained dogs.
So he snips the cage, pulls down like a little flap, tries climbing out. He's standing on the blue cage. Al Snow gives it a shake, and Bossman comes off, and he's dangling. And the look on his face is terror. Oh my God, I'm going to fall. So by this point, I think we've already seen Mankind fall through the cage.
Yep.
Tooth through his nose, through the top of his mouth into his nose, broken body parts. He's hanging from the cage with a look of terror. His feet are 6 inches from the ground. And he lets go, and he crotches the top rope, but he's inches from the rope.
Yeah. And what makes this whole thing
Stupid.
even better is that there's never any crowd response to anything that they're doing the entire time.
And that's what made this match so unbearable. Because, you know, I don't watch wrestling, you know, like these guys do, but a lot of the time the crowd kind of guides a non-wrestling person or fan.
They tell you what you're
I'm
supposed
like,
to
oh,
feel.
okay, that's supposed to look good. Like, this is, you know, they're, you know, booing this person. Okay, they're bad. But there was nothing. It was dead silence the entire time. And I honestly didn't realize it until you said something. But that's what made this, like, I was like, okay, is this fucking over yet? Like, Jesus, what is happening?
There's a point where the main camera is called the hard camera, and there's a point where they go to that camera for a shot, and the two guys who are in the front row of the hard camera side, that's the two most expensive tickets there are having a personal conversation. You can see them in the front row turned sideways looking at each other like, blah, 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 like, how was your day? Meanwhile, there's a Kennel From Hell match happening in front of them that they couldn't give a fuck less about.
Yeah.
So at one point, I'm trying to understand. I'm not very good at math. We know this.
It's Steiner math or otherwise.
Yeah, Steiner math. At one point, Bossman handcuffs Al Snow to the corner.
Yeah.
So if we math this correctly, Al Snow comes out first. He's inside the ring. Cage is built around the ring. Bossman comes out. Hell in a Cell lowers. Bossman is not allowed in the ring. So at what point were handcuffs put on the turnbuckle?
Who put these handcuffs on the turnbuckle?
You
They
guys.
just were already there.
You guys, these two men are dominatrix professionals. They set up the ring beforehand, okay?
How do you-
God.
How do you get
Chains,
that?
handcuffs?
This is some S&M bullshit, okay?
So Bossman goes back for the hole in the roof, right, while he's got Al Snow handcuffed. And Al Snow does the most amazing feat of strength anyone has ever seen in their life, where he breaks handcuffs.
With a top rope schoolboy, just a back bump, breaks the handcuffs.
Broken
Breaks his
handcuffs are reserved for either the strongest people in company history, like a Hulk Hogan or a John Cena,
Mark Henry.
or a Mark Henry, or it's for like the most what's the right word, like dire situations, right? Like somebody's gonna do something to your wife,
Yeah.
and you're just so adrenaline that you break some handcuffs. Not a vicious dog shit match. And it's Al Snow, and you could hear the crowd's like reaction. It wasn't like laughter, but it was like, we're not taking this seriously at all. Like you could feel the crowd being like, yeah, right.
Well, I don't even remember seeing the cuffs coming off. It's just he was all of a sudden free.
Yeah, he was just free.
So the for Savannah, when Al Snow pulls head out of the bag,
That's what I thought his shirt meant.
yeah,
okay.
it is.
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
But it's like a play on words. But his entrance,
Double entendre.
his normal entrance when he comes out, his music says, "What does everybody want?" And then it says head, and everybody chants along. What does everybody need? Head. So that's the joke. He pulls head out and does that. Not a single reaction.
Oh, crickets.
Nobody gives a shit about what's happening in the
Crickets.
ring.
No,
This is
zero.
the beer intermission.
Well, I bet you people cared about this feud going into it because it was interesting.
Yeah.
But the second that it started and Al Snow didn't want to fight, why would you continue to be invested from that point forward?
Yeah.
Right? Like if you came into this invested, and then the good guy with the blood feud and the reason to kill this guy is like, I'm not gonna fight you. You have to stay out there. I don't want to fight you. Then you're like, all right, well, if you don't give a fuck, then I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna go get some shitty nachos.
I'm putting my hardcore title on the line. I brought toys. I want a kennel in hell in hell match out of hell. I don't fucking know what it is. We're gonna have rottweilers, but guess what? I don't want to fight you.
Yeah.
Is that how the hardcore title works?
Yeah. So yeah, the prestigious hardcore title held by such great names as Sean Stasiak and Maven. so they both make their attempt at an exit. Bossman wants to go through the hole in the roof. Al Snow wants to
He's determined. Oh, he's determined.
Spider-Man his way.
I made this hole and I'm going to use it.
Al Snow's going to Spider-Man his way over the blue cage across to the cell and then down through the door. And he behaves as though these dogs are trying to rip a hole in his ass. He's like frantic to get through the door and get away from the dogs. The dog does not even turn its head.
They're still looking at each other, looking at the handler, just
They're all
like,
having a powwow in the corner.
can we be done now?
The dogs couldn't give a fuck less about Al Snow, so he gets out and wins. The only people who give a shit less than the dogs are the fans. No reaction when he wins at all. Like, absolute crickets.
Well, not only are the dogs not reacting. Reacting
to acting.
Yeah.
Tough reacting to acting.
The handlers aren't selling it at all.
Yeah,
they're not like down with them, like go, like encouraging them. They're just like chilling.
This is what happens when you get non-wrestlers, meaning dogs and handlers, to have something to do with a wrestling match. Why would they perform, right? Like,
right.
And so Al Snow wins the match. Bossman is still on the cell, and rather than just going over to the end of it, climbing down and leaving, he goes back inside for some unknown reason. And even JR and King are going, oh, he's going back inside. Like, what they're going, what the fuck is this?
The struggle between the actual like wrestling in this match and the, and then separate the trying to get out of the rings and the cages. The translation there was just so separate and it didn't mesh. They didn't like work together.
No,
at all.
It's stupid in concept and in execution.
Oh my god.
So Bossman does get out the front door and he runs away as though these dogs are trying to murder him. And then the handlers now finally get the cue and they get the dogs to chase him from 50 yards behind. One of the handlers trips and eats shit and lands on top of one of the dogs.
I was like, oh, poor baby. Okay, hold on. Can we back up for a second? There's 2 cages. Neither of the doors on either of these cages got locked.
No. Yeah.
Well, because they got to escape.
Is like, well, you would think it would be more interesting than there's like, oh, I'm going to open the door. Like, that's, I was like, Spider-Man on the cage, and then all of a sudden he just boots the door open and walks out.
A cage match in its first inception was to end blood feuds, right? And the point of the cage was, you're the bad guy, I'm the good guy. You can't run away.
Okay.
You have to sit in here so I can whoop your ass. That's the point of a cage match. WWF took it and were like, oh, the point of it is that you have to try to escape it.
Okay.
Which is stupid in and of itself, right? Because all you would have to do is, as soon as the bell rings, turn around and go out.
Right.
Yeah, you can
like,
just
at
have
least lock it or like
you can have a race to see who gets out quicker.
Yeah, basically.
Is what they could do.
So that's why when AEW had a cage match this last week with Cody Rhodes, they made a point of saying this has nothing to do with escaping the cage. This is a fight inside of a cage.
Yeah.
Then you add in dogs and you get this stupid fucking match. Okay. Is the Kennel from Hell match good, bad, or disqualified, Savannah? This is great radio, by the way.
as a non-wrestling fan, if this was on TV, would you go, man, I need to start watching some wrestling?
Or is
after the pre-match and after about 30 seconds in, I would turn this shit off.
So you're saying disqualified?
I would say disqualified. This is fucking horrible.
Jack?
I don't know. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
It's part of a feud. It's not a good way to end it. I'm gonna say good bad. it's going to be between bad and DQ.
Okay.
It's not quite DQ.
So you're giving it. I think I know what you're saying, and I'm gonna agree with you. A couple of episodes ago, we came up with this category, and it's called the AEW referee.
Yeah.
This means that it should be disqualified, but I'm gonna look the other way and let it pass.
Yeah, I'll nominate it for the AEW referee award.
Yeah, we're giving it the AEW referee award. It ought to be disqualified. It deserves to be disqualified, but we're just gonna overlook that fact and let it go.
Was it bad? I don't know. I didn't see it, even though it happened right in front of my face.
I looked right at it, but I'm not going to disqualify it. So that's what category we're going to put the Kennel from Hell match in. All right, guys, thank you for joining us, whether you are on YouTube or the podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
I think.
If you want, we're pointing to where we think that the subscribe button might be. If you want some bonus content on the podcast version, we are going to do the good news and the bad news of the wrestling week following this. So if you're only on YouTube, go check us out on the podcast. And you can find us on social media. We're at GB2 Wrestling on Instagram.
Good Bad Wrestling, No Holds Barred podcast on Facebook. And please, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, messages, send us messages, comments, likes, shares. We love interacting. If you have ideas of what you want us to see, want us to review, what you don't like, who you want us to talk to, let us know. We love your ideas, and we take them and use them.
Absolutely. Savannah, anything you want to promote?
I am good. Be nice to dogs.
Yes, be nice to dogs, and be sure to get them spayed and neutered.
Oh, dear God. Please do.
All right, we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.